abandon the long-time philosophy of curtailment and cut back to the new philosophy of expansion. And it makes sense.
It does. Because the population of the world is only growing. If we had kept functioning the way we were, we wouldn't have enough food to feed the world. We have enough food to feed the world. Food versus fuel, that's not an issue. The issue is distribution. The people who are starving, there's no roads, there's no way of getting the food to them. Okay? But we have enough food to feed them and make fuel. We can do it. Okay? And you know what else? What else will help us do it? If people got off farmers' backs and let them do what they did. Let us raise 200, 300, 400 bushel corn. Okay? And don't complain if it's genetically modified. Because I'll give you a hint. That burger you just ate, I bet you it had genetically modified corn in it. Have you keeled over yet? He hasn't keeled over yet. It's been a solid 4 minutes. He hasn't keeled over. So let farmers do what they do, and we can definitely feed the world and propel it with fuel. Not a problem.
What are you eating for lunch here today? Corn-fed beef.
Corn-fed beef! Corn-fed beef!
Think about corn-fed beef. Do you know what it does to them? What is it? To the cattle. It's a good thing they slaughter when they do, because it actually kills them to feed them, to make the meat like that. So they'd be dead in 6 months anyway eating that stuff, so it's just what they slaughter. Really? Yeah, it's terrible. Where is this? Every major confinement feedlot, everywhere.
And you can take anything that guy says with a grain of salt. I've never heard anything to that effect. He was half right. He is corn-fed. But the rest of that, I very, very highly doubt. I've never heard anyone say that they were going to kill their livestock.
To leave the corn belt.
A byproduct of the ethanol industry.
Okay, what he said right there is a byproduct of the ethanol industry. When we produce ethanol, we don't use all of the kernel. But what's left of the kernel, we can use as a livestock feed. Okay? So it's not like it's gone to fuel. We can use it. And actually, byproduct of ethanol, we can use to feed cattle and in turn feed ourselves. Food versus fuel, not an issue.
But cattle were not meant to be on a corn-fed diet for that long. We used to feed them 60, 90 days was one thing. Up to 120, you could make it. You start really pushing cattle on a corn-based diet after that, the ulcers in the stomachs don't take it well, and they start getting sick.
Okay, so maybe you could take what you said with one correct way.
It's now that contain up to 90% protein. But these animals evolved not in feeding these high starch or things like corn. You feed a lot of corn, more acids produced, and the animal can get into trouble. Corn in this environment produces these acids, the pH drops, and then they succumb to a condition we call acidosis. And if it's not treated, the animal dies.
Okay, alright, so the guy was 100% right. Sorry.
There is the whole thing. I mean, the cow she's fertilizing, she's mowing, we don't have to spread any manure, we don't have to harvest it, she's harvesting it. I mean, it's all real time,
And I agree with this farmer. I can't do it this way. Provide you with what you want and make enough money for me to live the way I would want to live, or the comfortable, or to match the standard of living. It can't happen. But if I can make enough money to match the standard of living, give you cheap food, do you go with one part of 3 of the equation or 2 parts of 3? The day that someone figures out how to put all 3 parts of the system together, food system will probably switch overnight. Well, within a year. But I'm here to tell you right now, government regulation isn't the way to do it. It is not the way to do it. Big business is not the way to do it. The way to do it is with these small farms.
Yeah.
But small farms means your food ain't going to be cheap.
That's true.
And so you know what? So you fix now, you have safe food. And now I have my standard of living that I want. But you don't have cheap food. Somewhere along the way, someone is going to get hosed.
Yeah.
But I can tell you right now, it's never going to be the farmer. Because if it is the farmer, he just stops producing. And then we have a food shortage. That farmer isn't going to pay the price for the food shortage. Because he can produce food to feed his family. They know how to raise gardens and take care of themselves. The person who's going to be hurting is you. That's not a threat. That's a promise. So, do you want cheap food or expensive food? Do you want safe food or are you going to roll the dice? Either way, it's up to you. That's why farmers talk so much. Because they know it's not on our end.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah. I mean,
The ball is not in our court.
it's not
If the ball was in our court, it'd be a very different world. But it's not. And you know what? If there was a lot of small companies competing, competition would bring the price of food down. But it would be equilibrium would also come in and make sure the price stayed someplace where everyone could make a living.
If the American people wanted strictly grass-fed beef, we would produce grass-fed beef.
Costs a lot
But
more.
it's definitely more expensive. And one of the tenets in America is America wants and demands cheap food.
One way or the other. We can do it either way. Doesn't matter. But, each way has its poison. This is sad. We are losing this. I say we should maintain it because it is a heritage. Okay? But it's coming down. And it's because of things like this that we need to continue to maintain things like the Moral Plots and the Mumford House. Because it is such a huge component of American history and American heritage. That, the more of these we take down, the more important it is to maintain what is still.
Larger and larger operations over time. Well, it's cheap food policy these days.
And farmers don't.
Right down the grocery aisle.
Not one of them likes it. Except for the people with huge egos.
Everything that has some of our homegrown
That's
products.
Pioneer guy. That Pioneer seed cabinet.
Our big thing is producing as many bushels as we can from the acres that we plant.
Kind of the end of another farm family in the community. Hyatt family's been here in the community for 5-6 generations. It's just another end of another generation.
Note how sad it is. Everything, and now they've got to go. There's room for everyone if everyone plays fair.
You grew up here, right? Yeah, born right here. Sure. It's all part of American life. How are you going to feel about leaving Green? Oh, so. We'll see.